Hello, friends, and welcome back to r/ProRevenge. Today we have one more set of great revenge stories, but before we start, if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. And our first story: you give me a poor raise and bonus, I take away annual $300K of business from you. To put some context on the story, I was working at a multinational firm. I did my final internship post-master's degree there, and they liked me so much they offered me a job as a junior consultant. Fresh from school, I couldn't be happier. As I was naive, I signed a contract without worrying about the little details. One of the clauses was that the leave notice is set to be 3 months. I raised the issue and they said, it's not a big deal, it was just for compliance purposes to the parent firm. Fair enough, I started working. In my second month, a colleague screwed up big time. He did something by mistake, jeopardizing one of our biggest accounts and one of the biggest banks worldwide. Easily could have made it into the news headlines. They fired the guy and offered me to work on the account. At the time, I had not enough experience to handle working on a team that manages one of our biggest clients, but accepted the offer anyway. I start working with the team located in a different country to work on the international bank, which has branches practically everywhere. So there were a lot of interactions with associates all over the world. They were very happy with my work, and I even had my own team to work for me when I have to multi-account. The manager was very happy with me because I exceeded expectations and I bring more work fees to the firm. While I was waiting for a big raise and bonus in the yearly evaluation, the manager said that I did nothing special. I swallowed my anger and continued to work flawlessly, the same as the first year, but with a big F you attitude. They even gave me other accounts and a team to manage, and because I'm a petty person, I wasn't going to let this slide that easy. The second year evaluation, because of my F you attitude, they tried to dig dirt on me so they can punish me. They found nothing. The client was very happy with my work. The manager and HR director, HRD, went an extra mile to dig dirt on me from my team. They found nothing. My academic background gave me a lot of tools to work with to manage. I was a good team leader. I trained them well. I took responsibility for every decision made. On the yearly evaluation, the managing partner, MP, and HRD said that I'm very competent and I did a flawless job, but I wasn't motivated enough to climb the ladder even further this year. The SOB gave me the poorest raise and bonus, even though they have a set of objective rules for that, and the defining factor is the client appreciation, which was excellent for me. The revenge part. It was like the stars were aligning for me. In that big bank account, I was the only remaining from the team. And because it required a lot of international coordination, not everyone could keep tabs on everything, and there was an account history to keep an eye on. We worked with a lot of high-profile associates around the world, and they're pretty much zero mistake tolerance. As I was the remaining member of the old team, the account associate requested me to come visit him in another country and expressed to my manager how much he relies on me on the upcoming season. Here comes the fun part. The hot season for work starts from January until late April. With 3-month notice, they hadn't much to worry about. So that's what they thought. Late December, I resigned and demanded to perform only 1-month notice. I know their drill. They'll say they have to consult the MP and they will get back to me with a response as soon as possible. But in the meantime, I should train someone to replace me. At the end of the month, and once a replacement is trained, they will say, he said no, you should stay 3 months, or pay up the 2 months. They did this to everyone before me. As I had 1 year to plan my revenge, I set aside my revenge money to take away their leverage. I waited a week and went back in to see the HRD. She said she's waiting still for the MP's okay. I went back to my office and canceled my 5 days paid vacation for the end of December and had the following conversation by mail. Manager, the flying lag. You can't cancel your paid vacation as there isn't much work for you to do at that time. You will take paid vacation like everyone else. Me, I won't take it. I'm not like everyone else. I'm on resignation notice. Manager, doesn't matter, you take it nevertheless. Me, as stated by labor laws, the employee on resignation notice can't take paid vacation, otherwise it will extend their notice by the said vacation unless there is an agreement between the two parties on it, which in our case is not. With nothing left to say, she forwarded the mail chain to HRD, and she sent me a mail to come discuss the matter with her. Me. I'm being professional. I demanded my notice reduced and a person to train. 1 week passed and no replacement. I'm still waiting for your feedback. HRD. We didn't find the right person to replace you and are still looking. Me. I don't care that much. You said in the evaluation I did nothing special and I haven't what it takes to climb. HRD. Noticing my evil look, sure, it was brutal how we treated you, but you can't leave. You'll stay 3 months and we have plenty of time to find someone to replace you and you will train him. Me. That's not going to happen. At the end of the month, I'm leaving and you can't stop me. HRD. In this case, you pay 2 months' salary, which is a lot. Me. No problem. I was prepared for that eventuality. My check is ready. She panicked and called the manager and the operations director to the meeting. Them. You can't leave. Even with paying, we have to accept, which won't happen. Me. As stated by law, Section X, Paragraph Y, I can in fact leave, and I don't need your approval. The OD is a poker champion, and he was in the meeting just to call my bluffs. I leaned on the meeting table to give him enough physical reading of my intention so that he can see I'm not bluffing. I said that I'm leaving at the end of the month. You have 2 options. Option 1, I pay you the 2 months, but I will train nobody. Or option 2, I'll train somebody to replace me, but I won't pay you. You choose wisely. HRD, this is blackmail. Me, you call it whatever you want. That's my offer. Take it or leave it. You have less than 3 weeks to decide. OD, how do we make sure you'll train him well? Me, you don't. If you want the second option, I need a written agreement before I start the training. In the rush, they agree to give up the 2 months' pay in exchange of training someone. They find a junior without any experience to fill in for me. I gave her a lousy training, and after 2 months, the client wasn't happy and dropped our firm. To have some perspective, on the bank account, I alone scored 2,000 hours with hourly fees of $200. They basically give up over $300,000 annually from that account because they thought it was wise to screw a junior staffer on his raise and bonus for 2 years. And our next story. Noisy neighbor gets silenced. Back in the 80s, I lived in a flat in southeast London. The flat was located in a small tower block 10 stories high with 4 flats per floor, 1 per corner as it were. The flat overlooked a local park and afforded very nice views of the area. The neighbors were generally very amenable, but everybody tended to keep to themselves, so no one had any problems with anyone. That all changed when a new family moved into a flat down on the 2nd floor, on the same corner of the building where we lived. We lived on the 8th. They were not the most gracious of individuals, frequently leaving rubbish bags strewn about their floor's lobby for days rather than depositing them in the communal bins, and parking their cars in other residents' allocated parking spots. In other words, the epitome of the Appalachian shav. Complaints to the local council invariably fell on deaf ears. They soon developed a reputation for hosting loud, drunken parties on the weekends, which tended to go past midnight. This was pretty fecking annoying for us and the other residents, but we were somewhat less affected due to the distance between our respective flats. One particular Friday evening, however, proved to be the straw that broke the camel's back. At around 10 p.m., we heard the music start up, but it now appeared that the hosts had recently purchased a new sound system because the bass was now intolerably loud. I could only surmise that a peculiarity of the building's design, coupled with what sounded like much larger bass speakers, appeared to magnify the effect in our bedroom to the point where it made it quite impossible to sleep. At about 11:30 p.m., I trotted downstairs and knocked on their door. It was flung open by what I could only assume to have been the male resident, looking somewhat the worse for wear. I politely asked him if he'd mind turning the music down as it was very loud, rattling the furniture in my flat and making it difficult to sleep. F off! And he slams the door. Charming, I thought. So I go back upstairs and call the non-emergency police number and explain the situation. They assured me that someone would be around in due course. Being a Friday night, I reckoned it might take an hour or two, so with much wailing and gnashing of teeth, we sat there waiting for the cops to rock up. Sure enough, about an hour later, I saw a patrol car pull up and a couple of London's finest enter our building. A few moments later, the music gets turned down and the police leave. No sooner had the car disappeared up the street than the music went back up to its previous level. We endured it for another half hour. No change. So once again, I call the cops. This time it takes closer to 2 hours for them to turn up. Yep, definitely a busy Friday night. They arrive around 3 a.m., and once again the music is reduced to a sensible level. Unfortunately, shortly after they depart, back up goes the volume to its previous furniture-shaking intensity. As you might imagine, by now I was royally PO'd. Indoors too. Someone not normally prone to displays of anger was positively foaming at the mouth, and looked like she was single-handedly going to reenact the Battle of Austerlitz in glorious Technicolor, together with a full orchestral accompaniment. It was then that I had a dazzling idea, one so fiendishly cunning and yet devilishly simple, a guaranteed cast-iron 100% pure 24-karat stonker of an idea so brilliant that I felt certain that within minutes I could stop this once and for all, and execute my plan in such a way as to make it impossible to trace back to me. Cue maniacal cackling whilst twirling imaginary mustache. Grabbing my toolkit, I crept down the stairwell to the second floor, just to double-check the actual flat number. Having confirmed the number, I went back up to the 4th floor. In the stairwell, just next to the exit door to the 4th floor lobby, was a wooden access door that concealed one of the 2 electrical distribution panels for the entire building. The door was only secured by a dent of a simple square-fitting key, and the application of a large flat-blade screwdriver would pop the latch no problem. Thus, I opened the door to reveal the distro itself. Pulling the cover open, I was presented with a large panel containing 20 large 80-amp fuses, one for each of the lower set of flats. Each one was neatly labeled with the flat's number, and 'twas but a moment to locate the appropriate one. Now, by one of those happy coincidences that usually only occur in the more egregious examples of the Hollywood B-movie, I just happened to have in my toolkit a dead fuse of exactly the same type and capacity. A few weeks previously, I'd had to replace a similar fuse in the theater where I worked, and I'd absent-mindedly tossed the dead fuse in my toolbox where I'd promptly forgotten about it. Until now. Now, with all my ducks in a neat row, I pulled the fuse carrier for the miscreant's flat out. Instant, blessed silence. I rapidly swapped the live fuse for the dead one and reinserted the carrier, securing everything back up again. I casually strolled back upstairs to enjoy a few hours in the hallowed arms of Morpheus. Addendum. Some weeks later, the troublesome family were moved out of their flat. It transpired that the local council had received so many noise complaints over the previous 6 months, they were obliged to rehouse them elsewhere. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video to the end, and I'll see you in the next one.